I'm Raj Kumar, President and Editor-in-Chief of DevX. I'm here in Paris at the Convergences conference, and I'm joined by a very special guest that is well known to our DevX audience around the world, Commissioner Andris Piebalgs, who is the Commissioner for Development at the European Commission, of course. Thank you for being here.
It's an honor.
I wanted to ask you, since we're here at Convergences, which is a conference about the connection now between so many sectors, civil society, private sector, government and development agencies, how has this new thinking around convergence affected the Commission, and particularly EuropeAid? How are you changing the way you work at EuropeAid based on this new important trend?
I think we have completely tried to embrace the change. Actually, we created a bit of change with our new policy change, because what we have been until then, we have been political wing one side and money disbursing machine on other side. So we reunited both, and really we try to anticipate results. We question how long the results ask, and definitely we are also increasing working with stakeholders. We have been the first saying that we need to work with private sector. We need even work for inclusive growth. And now today it's generally accepted issues, but still a lot of work needs to be done.
And what does it mean for the NGOs you work with, the private companies you work with? Because as you know, most of EuropeAid's budgetary work is about funding projects. So what is your message to those partner organizations? Should they be doing anything differently, thinking differently in this new era of convergence?
Well, I think with NGOs, we keep very close contact. They definitely question what we do and when we change. They are always very worried when we change the direction, but I think we have kept good contact, and I think they basically embrace the approach that we have having. With private sector it's more complicated, because I believe the private sector in itself usually looks in very short-term profits or short-term share values. I think there should be some change necessary in private sector in general to seeing that this inclusive development is also part of their problem and their responsibility. Unilever is leading the way, but today I could say Unilever is here and Bill Gates is perhaps higher, and then the base is not completely interested in the development activities, and I think it's wrong.
Do you think there's a way that we can push private companies to think differently? You mentioned Unilever. What's causing the others to not follow Unilever's lead in your view?
Well, I think it very much depends on the chief executive officer. I think the new generation of chief executive officers need, and also boardrooms need to change, because boardrooms are too much interested in short-term market fluctuations, and they don't see a longer-term picture. I hope that the leadership from Bill Gates, from Unilever president, will help others really to change the mentality, because they see that they're still successful in business, and that at the same time they are supporting that society is evolving in a less controversial manner.
I have to ask you about Somalia, because we're here just one day after the new deal for Somalia, the big conference that you led in Brussels. Can you tell me about how that conference went, what came out of it, and then particularly I'm interested in, since we're at Convergences, is there an angle, a perspective from the private sector, from this idea of bringing together sectors, even in a place as difficult as Somalia?
Well, I think Somalis are basically business people, so that I think is in their bloodstream. So I think what lacked actually, it was a governance sector to be involved. And I think what we have managed to achieve are four important things. The first, they were broad representatives of Somalis from different parts of the country. So I think the process is supported broadly in Somalia. Second, we got a program with real priorities, because otherwise you end up everything is priorities. Third, we established new facilities that government can influence for the development of Somalia. And last but not least, it's 1.8 billion that have been pledged in supporting of Somalia's development and reconstruction. And from the European Commission, I pledged 650 million euro in grants for next 3 years. So I think it is very substantial amount of money that will come in priority sectors.
Will those grants go through the Somali government, through local governments? How will that money be spent?
Well, at this stage, facilities that government can control what happens, but as a public finance management is still not credible. We can't channel money through the government at this stage. We will work so that in a couple of years we can do this.
I know that's the goal of the Commission in general, and increasingly you've been doing that in countries around the world. How has that gone? Is it a success across the board? That
There is
countries
some
are managing their own?
controversy. There is some controversy, but I think I saw how to deal with this actually. The controversy comes from the one side of the fact that you can achieve sustainable change if it's done by country itself. Otherwise, you are just doing window dressing in a way, or helping some marginalized groups. That is important, but doesn't solve the problem. So you need to work through the government. But second, it was seen that the governments are not doing enough, that there is not accountability from the governments, that the corruption is being too high, and there have been no results. Where I have seen that we have managed somehow reunite these two strands, it's in Latin America. If you go in Latin America, you will find full transparency and true traceability, that our funds go through the government channel to the final person, the child or the physical person that benefits from it. And that makes also at the same time transformational change. So we try to use this experience from Latin America now in other parts of the world, because I think that's the right answer to the criticism we got with budget support. So we needed to evolve, and we are now evolving.
And so that's the long-term vision, just to end on this question. As you look ahead, a decade from now, more and more European Commission funding will be budget support, with proper financial management. Is that where you want to go as a Commission?
Well, budget support is just a mean of support. It's, I would say, just an example. In PNG, we need to do better projects, because the country actually has a difficulty with disbursing its own budgetary process. So with the projects we bring experience, knowledge, etc. I think it will be always combination, but we try really to identify what we would like to achieve, and then the best method to swallow it. And if the government has credible programs that demonstrate that it can deal, and you beef up and you get new quality, then why not? But if it's not the case, then work with the project, support people, and create a basis for transformational change. So it's not obsession. It's not obsession. It's just mean of implementation. But I agree that can make the biggest transformational change in the country.
Okay. Well, thank you. And these are topics we will continue to cover. I know you will continue to speak about. We're looking forward to our continued coverage of the Commission, of your role, and of EDD coming up in November.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thanks.